Ever lay awake at night and think, what's this all about? Like what
Uh,
really matters?
oh, absolutely. We all have those moments. It's like existential pondering time.
Right. Well, today's deep dive might actually give us some answers. We're going to look at deathbed regrets.
Interesting. Not to be all doom and gloom or anything.
No, no, not at all. But sometimes facing those tough topics head on can help us live better, right? Now, W.
Makes sense. So are we talking about like people's biggest I wish I had moments at the end of their lives?
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not just about missed opportunities. It's more about these deeper longings for connection, purpose, stuff we all crave.
Right, those universal things. I'm intrigued. Where are we getting these insights from?
So we've got this excerpt, right? It's basically reflections from people facing their final days.
Wow, that's heady stuff.
It is, but it's also incredibly honest. They lay it all out there, no holds barred, about what they wish they'd done differently.
I bet that's powerful stuff. A real wake-up call for those of us still kicking.
Big time. It makes you realize we've got to examine our own lives while we still have the chance to, well, change things.
For sure. So spill the beans. What are some of these common regrets people have?
One that pops up a lot is about holding back, especially when it comes to, like, expressing our feelings.
So like not telling people how much they mean to us?
Yeah, not saying I love you enough. Seems almost too simple, but it hits hard, apparently.
It's huge. Think about it. It's not just romantic love either. It's gratitude, appreciation, even forgiveness. Imagine carrying all that unexpressed emotion around for years.
Like a weight on your shoulders.
Exactly. Have you ever held back from telling someone how much they mean to you?
Yeah, I think we all have at some point. It's like we assume people just day-N-O-W, but
But hearing it out loud from you in that moment, that makes all the difference. And it's not just the positive stuff either. Sometimes it's about those tougher conversations.
oh, totally. Like apologizing or
Yeah.
finally clearing the air after a disagreement.
Bingo. See, that ties into another regret that comes up a lot. This idea of not living authentically. Like when our actions don't match our true selves.
Almost like there's this disconnect inside us.
Yeah, like cognitive dissonance. It's that inner tension we feel when we're not being true to ourselves. Maybe we're living according to someone else's expectations, afraid to rock the boat or disappoint people.
So it's like we're building a life based on someone else's blueprint, not our own.
Exactly. And then we get to the end and it's like, wait, was that even my life I just lived? Pretty heavy, huh?
It's scary to think about.
Mm.
And you know what else is a common one? Not going after those dreams we have, our
Oh,
passions.
yeah. This one resonates with a lot of people. We get caught up in the daily grind, responsibilities pile up, and suddenly those things we were so passionate about get pushed aside.
It's the classic what if
Yeah.
story, right? I mean, there are always bills to pay, places to be.
It's all about balance, isn't it? Life is about responsibilities, but was there ever even a little space for those passions?
So not necessarily quitting your job and becoming a musician, but maybe.
But maybe taking that guitar lesson you always wanted, or joining that writing group, even just an hour a week dedicated to something that brings you joy.
That makes sense. It's about those little sparks, not necessarily huge life overhauls.
Exactly. And that actually connects to another big regret people mention, neglecting relationships.
Yeah. Letting those close bonds slip away.
It's heartbreaking how often people realize at the end that they prioritized work or ambition over spending time with loved ones.
Like that saying, no one ever wished they'd spent more time at the office.
Right, but our world is jiggo jogo all the time. It's easy to fall into that trap of busyness.
Totally. We're bombarded with messages about being productive, achieving more, but at what cost?
Exactly. It makes you wonder, are we sacrificing genuine connections just to keep up with this crazy pace? Our source even specifically mentions regretting missing out on family milestones because of work. Oof.
Yeah, that's a gut punch for sure. Makes you rethink your priorities. And speaking of priorities, this source highlights two regrets that seem totally different but are actually connected. Holding on to grudges and valuing material success over happiness.
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have put those together. How so?
Well, it's like they both come from seeking validation outside ourselves. One is about clinging to anger, resentment. That hurts us more than anyone, ultimately.
Right. You're stewing in it. And for what?
And the other is about this illusion that if we just get that promotion, that fancy car, whatever, we'll finally be happy. But
But it's rarely true, is it?
nope. And often, chasing all that stuff costs us our health, our relationships, even our inner peace.
The source even mentions people realizing, on their deathbeds, that forgiveness brings way more peace than holding on to anger.
Makes you think, all that striving in for what? We miss out on the simple joys, being present, enjoying our loved ones, living in the moment.
And that leads us to the final and possibly most poignant regret: not being present enough. We're so caught up in worries, the past, the future, we miss out on right now.
Which is kind of ironic because it's all we really have, Edia, right?
Yeah.
So after this deep dive into deathbed regrets, what's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think it boils down to this. These regrets, they're a chance for us to really examine our own lives. They show us what matters. Expressing ourselves, pursuing passions, nurturing our relationships, being authentic. And the key is, we've still got time.
It's not about being afraid. It's about using this knowledge to make choices that actually align with our values.
Uh,
So think about it. What's one small step you can take today, inspired by all this, to live more intentionally?
Could be journaling, talking to a loved one, or just taking a breath and appreciating this moment.
Exactly. Because the power to live a life with fewer regrets, that's in your hands.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive.
Until next time.